story about a girl who used to be free, outgoing, and adventurous. She's very active, and she enjoyed spending time with her friends and family, always having a smile on her face. Until one day, during the pandemic, she became so obsessed with working out and what she looked like that she lost over 15 pounds within 2 months of being in quarantine. A girl who once loved spending time with her family and going out to enjoy meals and watch movies began to isolate herself from the entire world. She was so worried about her body image that she feared gaining weight, even if it was healthy weight, and her entire life revolved around what she looked like. So who was this girl? That girl was me. At the age of 18, I came face to face with an eating disorder. But isn't 18 the age where we are supposed to be entering this new chapter of our lives, full of opportunities and excitement and possibilities? Yet I was faced with an obstacle that completely took over my life. In the next few minutes, I will be talking about how severe eating disorders are by first examining what an eating disorder is, how they affect you physically and mentally, and how the pandemic has helped heal them. And by the end of my speech, I hope you will all be able to see how detrimental eating disorders are and the things that we can do to help. To start, let's take a look at what an eating disorder is. According to the National Eating Disorder Collaboration, an eating disorder is defined as a potential life-threatening illness that is characterized by disturbances in behaviors, thoughts, and attitudes, eating, and body or shape. When a person is diagnosed with an eating disorder, they usually become obsessed with their weight, their food intake, and their body image. And eating disorders can be a result of genetics, social influences, and psychological factors. However, there are multiple eating disorders that have different characteristics. First, we have anorexia nervosa. And according to the Eating Disorder Resource Center, a person with anorexia has a fear of food and weight gain. Body dysmorphia is also associated with anorexia because it only becomes so focused on our body's flaws that it will usually take over our daily lives and our daily routines. I can't tell you how many times I could not walk past a mirror without looking into it because I was so focused and worried about how people saw and perceived my own body. Second, we have bulimia nervosa. This is when a person loses control when they are eating, and they will usually consume large amounts of food in one sitting. Bulimia, when a person when they overeat, they usually will compensate for eating so much in one sitting by vomiting, compulsive exercising, or using laxatives. And lastly, we have binge eating disorder, also known as BED. Binge eating disorder is similar to bulimia in the sense that the individual is also overeating. However, a person with binge eating disorder will usually not participate in purging behaviors. So now that we know what an eating disorder is and the various types, let's take a look at how they physically and mentally affect a person. Sutter Health states that some physical effects can include brittle hair and nails, dehydration, lightheadedness, heart failure, and can even result in the irregularity or loss of a menstrual cycle for females. Now, as you can see, eating disorders, they not only begin to deteriorate our physical health, but they begin to deteriorate our mental health as well. Some people can be diagnosed with anxiety, personality disorder, OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and they can even be at a high risk of suicide. As you can see, eating disorders not only affect what we eat or how we perceive our own bodies, they begin to take over our entire life. They change our behaviors, they create low self-esteem, and they can change your entire health. So, now that we have established what an eating disorder is and how they physically and mentally affect a person, let's take a look at how they have increased during the pandemic and who they are affecting. Eric Garber states in one of his articles that approximately 24 million people in the United States suffer from an eating disorder, and that eating disorders are among one of the most deadliest mental illnesses, resulting in approximately 10,200 deaths every single year. The Hill also states that every 52 minutes, that means that somebody's sister, brother, child, or parent is dying from this treatable and preventable illness. Since the pandemic, Forbes magazine states that there has been a 25% increase in cases and that children's hospitals have also seen a surge of admissions. This has resulted in there being a 40% increase in the call volumes to the National Eating Disorder Association helpline. I know that when coming to college, I don't know if many of you guys are also told that we needed to be aware of the freshman 15. Well, during COVID, Scientific America states that people began to see a new rise in a trend and on the news about people needing to be aware of COVID-19. People were posting on social media that we needed to work out and exercise in order to prevent weight gain during isolation. Personally, I felt that in being in quarantine, and I'm sure as many of you guys also feel the same way, that it really put a dark cloud over our future, and there weren't many things that we could control. As I mentioned, that's why I began to overwork out, and I controlled what I was eating, simply because I felt that those were the only two things that I could control. In doing my research for this presentation, I read many personal testimonies and read many cases, but there was one in particular that really stuck out to me, and that is that CNN states that Ashley Thomas, at the age of 14, was in the grips of anorexia. She weighed 85 pounds, she was hospitalized, her heart stopped twice, and doctors thought she would not survive, but she did. At the age of 14, Ashley Thomas weighed 85 pounds. That's 30 pounds under the average weight. Ashley was in the grips of anorexia and almost to the point of no recovery. And that's how it can be for thousands of people. Many people are fortunate enough to get the help that they need, while others aren't as fortunate. And during COVID, especially, it was very hard for people to get the help they needed because they didn't have the financial funds, couldn't go to therapy, couldn't get into a support group, or simply because doctors were not as accessible at the time. So, what are some things that we can do to help? Well, the Eating Disorder Resource Center is a California-based nonprofit organization that provides many resources for us to lend a helping hand. First, you can start by clicking this link right here, and it will take you to the website so you can donate as little as 25 cents. Or you can click this link over here on the left, and you can sign up to volunteer to become a writer for their newsletter or their newspaper, or you can sign up to become a mentor or a group leader for the patient or for their loved ones. To recap, we have talked about what an eating disorder is, how they physically and mentally affect a person, and lastly, how the pandemic has helped heal them. I want everybody to remember that eating disorders do not discriminate towards anyone or any race or any gender. My life was completely taken and put in the hands of an eating disorder simply because I wanted to feel accepted. I wanted to be that girl, that small thin girl that everybody knew. But in doing all of my research and going through the situation that I was in, I realized something that I hope you guys will also be able to take with you and remember every single day. And that's simply that your weight has nothing to